Hey everybody, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm going to be tier ranking the 25 books that I've read so far this year. Now, according to my book challenge, I've actually read 27, so I must have omitted two, or maybe they were rereads. I'm not sure what happened there, but math is hard. So I'm going to be tier ranking 25 of them. So join me and let's see what I think about these books. My categories, I hope you enjoy my categories. They are favorite shelf worthy. So those are like super, super amazing. Chef's Kiss Great. So those are great, probably 4.5 star-ish. If only, so these are going to be my, it could be great, but it wasn't quite their books. Meh, that's self-explanatory. And then put the stinking pen down. I already know who's going in that category. So let us see. I've got a ton of books down here to choose from that you can't see. Sorry. And I'm just going to randomly pick one. Let's start out with The One, which is a thriller. And it was one of the most well-done thrillers that I've ever read. It follows so many different points of view. It's fast-paced. It's exciting. It's got some fun science in it. It was good. Let's say Chef's Kiss Great. Next one is one I read this month, Mika in Real Life. I'm putting it up there with Chef's Kiss Great again. This is a contemporary fiction novel, and it follows a woman who is reconnecting with the daughter she gave up for adoption. I loved it. It was a right mixture of humor, seriousness, thought-provokingness. Is that a word? Thought-provokingness? Probably not. All right, let's go to the next one is The Cutting Season. And I just lost connection with my mouse because, that's how it goes when you're trying to film a video. So I'm going to go charge my mouse. Okay, that mouse is charged, baby, and ready to go. All right, so I actually dropped one in there before I got to talk about it. And that was The Cutting Season. And I'm not quite sure where to put it. I did not finish this one. But I don't know if I should put it in meh or if only, because it had so many interesting premises that I think it could be a really great novel. I'm going to leave it in meh. I'm going to leave it in meh, which is interesting. You would think that I would put a D and F in the put the pin down, but nah, I'm going to put it there. All right, I'm going to randomly pick one. True crime story. Let's say if only. This one, I think I would have done better if I had read the actual book and not listened to the audiobook, because I got very distracted and was very confused about what was going on. It was also very long and it really didn't engage me that much. So, yeah, I'll keep that there. This is more difficult than it looks. Let's do Finlay Donovan, the second Finlay Donovan book. I can't remember what it's called. Knock Some Dead, maybe. I'm going to put it in if only. I love Finlay Donovan as a character. She is quirky. She is me as far as like she's a mom dealing with junk and trying to make ends meet. And she, if you don't know the premise of the first book, she accidentally falls into being a serial killer because people overhear her talking about her next thriller that she's going to write. Anyway, this one didn't have quite the charm, but it's still, I still liked it. And if only it had that charm, it would have been much higher. Picking a random one. Ruth Ware's The It Girl. I'm going to put it in if only as well. It had some great dark academia vibes, which I'm all about. It was a good thriller. I wanted to know more about the backstory that occurred actually at this university. I think it would have been great if we had gone through that. So next one is The Housemaid. I'm putting it in put the pin down. If you did not watch my January recap, you'll hear my thoughts on this. I hated it. Couldn't stand it. It talks about abuse in such horrific detail. It's also very predictable. Just put the pin down. Stop it. And there's even sequels to this. Like, who's reading this? Maybe you are. Tell me why you like it if you are. Let's go. Keeping on this thriller genre, Lisa Jewell, The Night She Disappeared. I liked this. Chef's Kiss Great. There aren't many just straightforward thrillers that I can't stop thinking about, and this was one of them. This was really good. I liked it. Dietland. I read this one after I read one that I'll talk about in a second, and it could have been so great. I'm going to put it if only. This one follows a woman named Plum who has been on a quest to lose weight her entire life. And when she was a teenager, she did this diet program that ultimately had to end up closing down. And then fast forward to when she's an adult, she meets the daughter of the woman who created the diet program that has caused so much trauma in everyone's lives. And this woman is trying to rectify that and also trying to help Plum. But then there's a subplot of women all around the country trying to take vengeance on men who have sexually assaulted them or objectified them. That wasn't needed in this book. Let's make it into 2 books. So if only it had made it into 2 books, it would have been much, much better. Okay, I'm talking way too much. I'm going to stop. A Familiar Stranger was a thriller, and it was just meh. I literally don't remember what it was about. A.R. Tour, and again, The Good Lie was A.R. Tour. I'm going to put it in meh. Another one of those thrillers that I can't remember a thing about it. Let's go to one I literally just finished, the last one, The Secret Keepers of Old Depot Grocery. This is a Christian fiction novel, and I'm really trying to get into Christian fiction. And it was it dual timeline? Yeah, I think it was dual timeline following, it may have been even like triple timeline, following a mom, a grandmother, and the daughter. And there is a family secret that is working to be revealed, but it was so clunky. The dialogue was very clunky, awkward. It told more than it showed, as in like it told you everything she was thinking. It left nothing for revelation. It was very predictable. I'm going to put it in meh, and I hate to do that because I really want to try to get more great fiction, Christian fiction authors on my list. All right, Emma Straub, This Time Tomorrow. I'm going to put it in if only. I really like time travel tropes. This had time travel. It also had death of a parent, which I'm not super fond of, but it's going to be in if only. Next, Comfort Me with Apples, Chef's Kiss Great. This is a creepy horror novella that is a retelling, in my opinion. Although if you go on Goodreads, nobody else is really saying this. I think it's a retelling twist of Adam and Eve. What do you think? Do you think that that's right? Anyway, it's creepy. It's creepy, but it's a very short read. I think I read it in like an hour and a half, and it was really good. Next, you're not going to be surprised about this at all. Miss Colleen Hoover, Verity. Let's put the pen down, Colleen. Okay, all right, let's put the pen down. By now, you all know what this is about. This is about an author who has been asked to finish another author's work because she's in a coma, and strange, weird things start to happen, and there's twist upon twist, and she finds these documents of the author who is in a coma that reveals horrendous things, and then, nah. It was gross. There was so much sex in it. Hey, Colleen, if you're writing in the thriller genre, again, we thriller readers, we don't need sex scenes after sex scenes after sex scenes, okay? That's not, most of us are not all about that. And the writing was typical Colleen Hoover, just like junior high level. Just put the pen down. Am I biased? Yep. Don't like her writing. That's okay. Next is a memoir that I have been late on the train to read for some reason. It is Educated by Tara something. I can't remember her last name. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I hate, it's really hard to rate memoirs as not super high. And so part of me wants to do Chef's Kiss Great, but honestly, I'm going to put it in if only. It was long. It could have benefited from some editing. I question, although I shouldn't question this because she claims it's true, question some of the actual events as far as from a medical standpoint, like how could certain people survive undergoing certain things. So anyway, if you haven't read it, it's quite interesting as a read, talking about this girl who grew up in a family who did not trust the government at all. Therefore, she was not schooled. And eventually she comes to realize that she does want to be formally educated. She goes to BYU, and it also talks about all the trauma that she suffers at the hand of her brother and her father. And actually, I would say her mother as well, psychologically. It's a very humbling read, and I know a lot of people live like this in our country, so it was a good read as far as to get me thinking and back aware of the power that education has, but also the power that is in not educating people as well. Just the book itself perhaps could have been a little better done. Again, I hate to say that about a memoir. All right, let's go to the daughter of Dr. Moreau. I'm going to put it in if only too. I think I gave it a 4-star, but I would really have liked to see a little better conflict. This book would have been elevated. So if you haven't read this one, this is a fun read. It's a horror, and it's kind of like got a Frankenstein twist to it, except it takes place in Mexico, and we get to see the author's imagination of what would happen if someone tries to bring animals into almost into a human-like state. So that part was really fun, and it was really a fun read when you're reading all the scientific madness and horror stuff. It just got a little lost on me when the actual conflict of they're trying to shut down the funding, and so the daughter has to be forced into a marriage, but she actually likes the guy, and yada, yada, yada. So if that had been changed, this would have been amazing. All right, let's go to one that I already know is going up here. Favorite shelf worthy, The Cherry Robbers by Sarah Walker. Oh my word, if you haven't heard my review on this. This book follows a set of sisters who the mother warns the whole family that once these sisters start to get married, they're going to die. And no one believes her. People call her crazy. The mom is actually institutionalized several times, even after we see what she says to be true. It's a powerful statement, right? Even though what she said is coming to fruition, the men are still trying to put her away in a mental institution. So we follow the youngest daughter and her quest to find love, but also live a life that is free from this curse and understanding the curse. And it's a terrific Gothic novel. I adore it. I actually ordered a copy of it, a physical copy, and I don't do that unless I adore a book. Next, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I loved it. Grady Hendrix knocked it out of the park. I don't think I would put it on favorite shelf worthy. It's lacking just a tad bit, but maybe upon a reread I would. I really enjoyed this. There were a few things that I could have done without, like graphic yuckiness, but that's just my personal preference. I loved how it portrayed the women. These women are women of the South. As someone who lives in the South, obviously you can tell by my accent, this is an excellent portrayal of women in the 90s in the South in a book club trying to change the world. Hey, they're trying to kill those vampires. But it's not as like vampire-y as I thought it would be, which is good because I'm not like super into vampires. It's good. All right, next. It's The Love Con by Ceresia Glass. And I read this because I was doing a challenge, which will probably air later than this video. And I made myself listen to all of this, and I could not stand it. I'm putting it and put the pin down. We have a woman who is competing in a contest to make cosplay costumes. And I thought that sounded so fun because I'm all about Project Runway, right? Make it work. So I thought this would be great. Well, she's in the final stage of the contest. So it's her against somebody else. But they get sent home just like they do in Project Runway. And she basically needs a partner, a boyfriend who is there to make good TV. So she says that she has a boyfriend and it's her best friend and he plays along with it. But pretty early on in the book, you realize that they both have feelings for each other and they both reveal that. There's not a lot of tension because it is very obvious that they both have feelings, and so you know what's going to happen. Also, there's not a lot of talk about the competition itself, which I was really looking forward to. It's very surface level. I didn't feel a connection with any of the characters. I'm going to say put the pin down. I think it could have been good. It could have been an if only, but it's not even that good to be put up there in the if only. Sorry, not sorry. The Golden Couple is a meh thriller. Again, another good premise because we are following a psychiatrist. I'm all about therapists, and that storyline, it just was not executed well, and that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, Gallant is a book that I started reading to my high school kids on something that I do every Thursday. In other schools, they call it First Chapter Fridays. I call it First Chapter Thursdays, where I read a different first chapter out of a book. And I had read the first chapter out of this and thought it sounded very intriguing as a YA novel. It is fantasy, and I think it just goes to show that I am not a fantasy gal. I could have enjoyed it more if it had higher stakes, but it's YA, so it's not going to. I could have enjoyed it more if I had a little less action. I don't like action, and that's just my preferences. I think that people who enjoy fantasy, action, and YA would love this book. It's just not for me. All right, we're getting down to the last three. Diane Chamberlain, The Last House on the Street. I always adore Diane Chamberlain's books. Are they life-changing? No, but they usually thought-provoking. This one was a semi-historical fiction novel, and it took place in the 60s. And the program scope to try to help register African Americans to vote in the South. And it followed a dual timeline, as I love, and it taught me things I didn't know, and it had a good twist. It had a good ending. I liked it. I'm gonna put it chef's kiss great. Yeah, I feel good about that. Okay. Alice Feeney, who I love. I know she gets kind of a mixed bag of reviews, but Daisy Darker, oh yes. This is a retelling of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which I love. And this did it so well. So the thing about Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None was that it all hung on that poem, the One Little, Two Little poem. And Alice Feeney was able to kind of recreate that mood by coming up with this really twisted, dark poem that a grandmother, who actually is a famous author, but a grandmother comes up with this poem about her own family and about how horrible they are. And then they all start dying and they're stuck together on this like island. So we have that vibe going on, and they cannot leave until the morning because of the tide. And it's good. Like, I couldn't wait to devour it. Also, each person has a secret that is being revealed about them, which really parallels the why can I not say that? And Then There Were None. So I really liked it. I very rarely give thrillers 5-star. In fact, this may be the first one that I've ever given a 5-star. Really liked it. Yes, ma'am. All right, one last book, and this one is going on a favorite shelf worthy. I've already moved it on my favorites of all time shelf on Goodreads. And that's The Bell Jar. I said in one of my previous videos that I really needed to be in the right headspace. Thought I was. Not sure if I was or not, but I still did it. I got through it, and this is excellent. If you have not read this, especially if you are a woman, if you have ever dealt with mental illness or depression or anxiety, or have known people who have, this is an amazing look into most people say it's autobiographical, but it's a novel. And Sylvia Plath writes beautifully about a young woman's internal struggles to choose what path to take in her life. And she wants to do everything, but she knows that that's not the way the world works. And it's funny how we as women right now think that we can do everything, but I think it's quite apparent in this novel that we do give something up if we choose. And sometimes we get that paralysis of like, okay, if I can't choose, if I have to get rid of something, then what if I just don't choose anything? And I think that that's one of the things that was weighing down this character and maybe pushed her over the edge, was that she wants to be great and she wants to experience everything, but she knows that everything cannot happen at once. And so that fear of missing out, and I don't use that like in the FOMO sense of like a serious missing out or your life not taking the direction that you want it to go. You want to be able to achieve everything. And anyway, I could go on and on about this novel, and I might in its own dedicated video, but don't let people tell you that this is about a woman going crazy, because that's not what this is about. This is a journey of a young woman, and we see her everyday life. We see the greatness that she's achieving, and we do see her fall into depression and hopefully try to climb out of it, and the people around her, how they react to that. But it's not a story of mental illness. It's not a story of someone being committed into the psych ward. That's what I had heard. That's why I was hesitating reading it. And of course, it does include some of those themes. And be in the right headspace when you read it. If you're currently depressed or feeling any of those tendencies, probably not the book for you right now. But if you've moved past those, or you're in the process of healing, I think it's really affirming to know that someone else has gone through those things. And the only, unfortunately, Sylvia Plath did die via unaliving herself. And I think looking at this novel, you can feel how it ends. You can feel that angst that has not been resolved. And did I say I wasn't going to go on and on about this novel? I think I did. So I'm going to stop right there, and let's look at my list. This has been an excellent reading year so far, I think. We've got more if onlys, obviously, than any other category, but I still have 2 favorites like of all time. That's amazing. We're only in April 1st, and I've already found 2 like all-time favorites, and that Chef Kiss Great category is the second largest one. So hey, that's not bad. I'm feeling good about this year, and I can't wait to see what's next. I feel like that's part of the fun of reading. Like, you never know. You never know if the next book you're going to read is going to be your favorite of all time. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed. Please don't forget. Have you forgotten? Don't forget to subscribe. I am growing. At this time, I think I have 525 subscribers, which is amazing. But I also see that a lot of people who've watched my videos have not subscribed. And that really, really helps me out if you do. And if you could click that like button, comment below if you've read any of these books or if you disagree or agree with any of my tier rankings. And let me know if you have any suggestions on what I might read that might be able to make it to the top of that favorite shelf worthy. I don't know what this action was. That was weird. Anyway, have a great day, evening, afternoon, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.